Hey guys, Shredna Beats here, and in this video I'm gonna show you how Southside and TM88 produced the beat Mac and Cheese, which is currently on my channel. It was originally seen in a video by a guy called Zephyy. I think that's how you pronounce his name.
Yo, I know the fuck going on. You know Zephyy? South Beach?
Yeah, I think I pronounced that right. But he did this video with Chapman TV where they filmed Southside and TM88 in the studio. And around the 1 minute and 38 seconds mark, they played this one beat, which I've been dying to remake for like a year now. But after a while and a lot of time spent with studying the video, I finally came up with a remake that sounds like 99% accurate. So let's just jump in the studio. So now we're over in FL Studio and I'm ready to show you how I remade the beat. But just a quick backstory. I was sitting there watching the video and I was thinking, oh, that's a really great beat and I'm gonna remake that because it was legitimately like the best beat I've ever heard. So I wanted to remake it because it was obviously not ever released to the public. So I wanted to recreate it so I could listen to it myself and also now share it with other people. And I didn't think it would be that hard to recreate the beat, but it turned out to be a much more time consuming process than first anticipated. My ideal thought was just to download a snippet from the video and then just EQ out all the drums and 808s so I could have the melody for itself, and then from there recreate like the rest of the elements. But I realized quickly that when I EQ'd all the drums and all that out, it was so bad quality, like the melody, it was just horrible and you could kind of still hear all the drums and all that. So I kind of gave up at that point, but I downloaded a snippet anyway and I decided just to do the 808 pattern and the kicks and the rest of the drums, so I at least had some of the beat, and then maybe in the future I could go back and create the rest of the beat. So I downloaded this snippet, which is basically just the loop region for the beat. It sounds like this. So yeah, that was downloaded straight from the video, and now I needed to do the 808 pattern. So I needed to find the key of the 808 first. So I right-clicked the sample and then clicked pitch correct sample. The plugin NewTone will then open, and since the 808 is the most dominant element in the beat from this snippet, this is basically the sound that is getting picked up, and our plugin right here tells us where it registers the different sounds, like in which key they are. And it turns out the 808 was in F sharp and goes up to G, and once in a while goes up and down to C sharp and whatnot. So out from that, I recreated the 808 pattern as I could hear it from this snippet, and the 808 pattern would come out to sound like this. So yeah, the pattern overall looks like this, and it's just like, it's kind of basic because it's just going from F sharp, then going up to G, going back to F sharp, but once in a while there is these small rolls. Here it goes quickly from F sharp up to C sharp for this quick roll, and then later on it goes in another roll down here to E, and then goes down to C sharp again, and in the end we have this these four 808s just switching pitch all the time. It goes from E to F sharp to D sharp. So yeah, the next thing I did was the claps, and it was pretty basic because it was just this Luger, it's called Luger clap, and it is basically just repeated at the same spot throughout the beat. So that was quite simple. So now the beat sounds like this. So the next thing I did was add a snare on top of the clap, since they did that in the beat as well, to make this a nice snare and clap combination. It was just on top of the clap we did before, in the same position of course. Pretty simple and straightforward, and it ended up sounding like this. So yeah, that makes a dope sound. And the next thing I did was add the hi-hats. The hi-hat was really a pain in the ass because the sample I downloaded here wasn't really high quality, so it was kind of hard, kind of tough to hear the hi-hats, like, because they were pretty low. But I think I figured it out in the end. It took me some time, but overall it's just a bunch of rolls here and there, and it's a layered hi-hat. What I did was I changed the root key so the 808 would sound deeper. Just right click this C sharp note here on the piano roll down here. So now it just sounds a bit more deep. And then I also layered it with another hi-hat down here. It's the same hi-hat of course, but this just hits every second step. It's a bit more, it's deeper of course, so it just gives the hi-hat so much more life. I do that in many of my beats, but throughout the hi-hat pattern there's just really many rolls everywhere, like going up and down in pitch, because that's like what 808 Mafia is known for, is their sick hi-hats. But yeah, they basically look like this. And those rolls, some of the rolls were done with second step, and some of the rolls where they needed to be a bit faster, like here for example, would be in a third step. So yeah, overall everything with the hi-hats sounds like this so far. So yeah, now we just needed to add another component, and I added the open hat now. The open hat was also pretty straightforward. It was pretty simple. It was placed in this spot every bar, and it's a pretty decent open hat. It's called 808 Mafia, and it's basically, yeah, placed like this, and together everything sounds like this so far now. Not so much to that. And then I decided to add the kicks. The kicks was also pretty straightforward. I just listened to the sample of course, and it was pretty simple. It was basically hitting every time the 808 did as well. So I used the rack kick, and for this kick I just turned the volume up to get it real crispy. Of course, I added a soft clipper to the master channel to let the kicks clip through the mix to make them sound extra tough. And I also upped their volume in the mixer to make them really stand out. So now everything in the drum pattern sounds like this so far. Just go here. So that was basically what I could make out from this snippet here. I didn't know the presets or anything in that matter, so I was just stuck here with only the drum pattern. So I gave up, and I didn't even try for a long time. I've already went through like all the Omnisphere sounds that I had, and none of them sounded the same. It was like they sounded like a guitar, right? But none of my Omnisphere packs had these guitar sounds, so I was just stuck here. So the next step was I just waited for a while, and I didn't work on it for a long time, and then I decided to go back to the video just to hear the beat. I usually just came back to listen to it because I just really like the sound of it. And then I decided to take up the challenge one more time. I decided to try again, find the melody, find the preset, and I really just started analyzing the video by Hefe and Chapman TV. And I could see in the video that they used effectrix at one point. So yeah, I could see TM88 working on the beat, and he used effectrix there with a preset, or he used the effect called X loop. So I knew they used effectrix for the beat. And I also looked through the comments and found like a thread where people was discussing what preset he used to make the beat. And nobody really knew it, but we got tipped off by some random guy saying that it was a sound from Nexus. So I just decided to just go into Nexus and just started looking for that sound forever, and then I finally found it. So this is probably what you've all been waiting for. It's a sound from a London on the Track pack, and it's actually a piano, not a guitar. It's called Piano 4. Now, playing it would just sound like a normal piano. If I just go and turn all the effects off so far, it would just sound like a totally normal piano. But then of course it was pretty clear to hear that they put some gross speed, half speed on it. So I just went into momentary and clicked half speed. Just already there, you could just hear the similarity. But then of course I took the low ends out just to make my 808 stand out more. And then I decided to try the effectrix thing. Now they use this thing called X loop up here. And they placed it, as I could see in the video, like at the first step here and also at the second here in the middle. But I just decided to stick with one here because I got the sound that I wanted. And I used the following settings down here. And this thing basically makes it sound like a guitar. It like changes its pitch for like a short amount of time. Now we can listen to it. Oh, I need to activate it first, sorry. So yeah, already there, it's like already really accurate, but I decided to add some reverb to it to make it feel like more lifelike, really more just a deep sound and all that. And I also used a a plugin by FabFilter. It's also a reverb plugin, which makes it really sound stereo and spacey and really nice sounding. And I also added some delay with these settings here. The reverb was at this setting. I just played around with it a bit. I could hear in the sample here that it was a really deep reverb. So now the melody sounded like this. And the chord progression for this melody is as following. Goes from C sharp down to F sharp and goes to D and then to F sharp again. And it continues like that. Pretty simple melody, but all the effects and all that just makes it sound so much more dope. I just put 2 octaves of the same melody to make it sound more deep and to get it like to sound right. So yeah, that's how you make the melody. But now I got another problem because I could hear like the last note, like right here. This last note playing before it loops again just wasn't playing because of the halftime. So I just did something amateurly. I just added another piano, same piano, just to play that last note. And I didn't add that, I just added gross beat on another setting so it would play that, because there was a lot of problem with Effectrix and not playing the effect and all that. So I just solved it how I just could. And then in the beat there is also a little pad playing in the background. It's like going up and down in pitch the whole time. So I needed to find that preset as well. We can just listen to the pad right here. So that was a preset I needed to find as well, and I was like, oh shit, man, I gotta go dig deeper in Nexus and all that to just find this sound. So I started looking for it, and I found this pad called Dark Pad in a Straight from the Trap, I think it's called, pack. It isn't exactly the same. To begin with, it sounded like this. And then of course I put the gross beat on it here. I actually used another plugin called Halftime, since it offers more features and more settings for the halftime. Really cool plugin, shout out Cable guys. So yeah, now I just got it. Let me see if I can just play that for you. It ended up with all the effects I put on to sound really similar to the one in the beat. I EQ'd the lows out, of course, and I used another fat filter instance, and the same Effectrix effect, and also some reverb. And from that I achieved like a sound that was similar and like almost accurate. And with all the other components of the beat together, you wouldn't really be able to hear the difference that much unless you actually knew it was a different pad. But that was basically how I made the beat. Of course there was another, later in the video they did another pattern with the same piano. It was just not gross beated at all. Halftime, it was just the normal piano playing. It sounded like this. Yeah, I just decided to add that for like the chorus or whatever you'd call it. And then also for the beat drops and all that, I used this waka flocka bell sounding like this. And I also took this another key, I changed its root key to C# to make it sound the same as the one in the sample. And with all that, I just achieved the beat. So yeah guys, that was basically how I achieved making this cool beat and recreating the beat that a lot of people have tried to recreate but just failed miserably at, because there's a lot of other versions out there. There's a specific one with a lot of views where he just actually sampled the video itself. It sounds terrible, and he also used a lot of the wrong drums. But yeah, but this is how accurate I could get it. And so yeah, so thank you so much for watching this video. It's been requested a bunch of times after I released it on YouTube. And hopefully I helped you understand how the beat was made, and hopefully you can make your own remake of the beat if you want to, or just take all the tips I gave you and try to implement it into your own beat making process, your own workflow and all that. And don't forget to hit the subscribe button and like the video, and also shoot a comment if you have any questions or if I forgot to say something or something along those lines. But other than that, thank you so much for watching.
What you got, Tim?
Drip. That's all we got for 2017. Whole lot of drip.
Macaroni, ho.
Whole lot.